is a place without war, without mineral exploitation, where the environment is fully protected, where all countries work together for a common goal, a place where peace and cooperation, science and the environment come before money and power. This sounds like an imaginary place, doesn't it? Maybe this may seem impossible, but anything is possible on a mysterious continent. Welcome to Antarctica. This is Antarctica, almost 5.5 million square miles of ice, isolated from the rest of the world. Antarctica is a frozen, windswept continent, so hostile and remote that it has no permanent inhabitants. For many centuries, Antarctica has captured our imaginations, from the historic first explorers of the 1880s to the bold scientists of today. We continue to be captivated by the wonders held within Antarctica's icy plains. The harsh conditions, freezing temperatures, and barren landscapes make Antarctica inhospitable to humans. Antarctica is the 5th largest continent and nearly twice the size of Australia. About 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice that averages 1.9 kilometers in thickness, making up 90% of all the ice on Earth. As the world's last unexplored wilderness, Antarctica is shrouded in mystery, and as a land of extremes, it's also great at keeping its secrets. For scientists, it's a freezing cold time capsule that contains clues about life on the planet before meddling humans came along and ruined everything. So far, they discovered blood-red waterfalls, ancient fossils, peculiar natural phenomena, and incredible creatures. They've even managed to discover a world beneath the ice, from salty underground lakes to a huge mountain range hidden below. But for conspiracy theorists, the icy continent contains much, much more than just a few frozen bacteria and a hidden lake. From elongated skulls and strange pyramids, to alien spaceships, bizarre structures, and even a lost civilization. Many people also believe that Antarctica is a home to alien or Nazi bases. The only thing that's clear, though, is that much of what's actually going on in Antarctica has been and continues to be hidden. Will it ultimately remain that way, or do we actually know something? Join us on this journey in the next few videos to discuss some of Antarctica's biggest mysteries, secrets, and legends. Antarctica is noted as the last region on Earth in recorded history to be discovered, unseen until 1820, when the Russian expedition of Fabian Gottlieb and Mikhail Lazarev on Vostok and Mirny slided the Fimbul ice shelf. Although Antarctica was officially discovered in 1820 thanks to a Russian expedition, some theorists claim that people knew about the continent beforehand thanks to the Piri Reis map from 1513, compiled by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, a medieval-era map discovered in a Turkish palace in 1929. Yet it shows knowledge of faraway lands well beyond the areas European explorers had traveled, and even shows land features Europeans couldn't possibly have known about in 1513, like the Andes Mountains of South America and the coastline of the Antarctic under the ice. The amazing accuracy of the Piri Reis map has made scholars scratch their heads. Is the map proof of an ancient, advanced seafaring civilization? In the map's legend, Piri inscribed that the map was based on about 20 other maps. According to Peary, these maps included 8 Ptolemaic maps, an Arabic map of India, 4 newly drawn Portuguese maps from Sind, and a map by Christopher Columbus of the Western Lands. Along with most of the usual pieces of land, the Peary Rice map also shows one that's more interesting. Along the bottom section, the map appears to show the northern coast of Antarctica. The continent of Antarctica was discovered several hundred years after the Peary Rice map was drawn, yet it shows a landmass where Antarctica is. This is really incredible, but there are more mysteries. The coastline of this landmass was unfamiliar and therefore deemed inaccurate for hundreds of years until 1961. It was then that Captain Lorenzo W. Burroughs, a captain in the United States Air Force Cartography Division, noted that the outline of this southern landmass seemed to accurately depict the coastline of the continent under the ice. As for why Antarctica would be connected to South America, another historian has an answer. Dr. Charles Hapgood, the professor and historian that Burroughs had sent his letter to, claimed that in the past, coastlines were exaggerated in size in order to make details easier to see. In the name of these details, coastal accuracies were often overlooked, resulting in continents that seemed more connected. Of course, both of these explanations assume that the land on the map is Antarctica. How is this possible if we consider the limitations of the surveying equipment in the 1500s? One theory suggests that the map was drawn using information on older maps that were made so long ago that it was before Antarctica was covered in ice. If that's the case, could this map be a proof of an advanced and much older civilization that predates known civilizations? The most interesting thing is that this land was shown without ice, with resources suitable for life. Of course, mainstream experts and scientists have dismissed any thought that this map is the product of genuine knowledge of the Antarctic coast. We may never know how that information on the Peary Rice map was discovered, and the ancient map remains a historical mystery. Not many people know that we don't have a complete photograph of Antarctica taken by satellite, as the actual satellite images of what officials claim is a fully explored continent are actually composited together in a mosaic with a gaping hole in the middle around the South Pole. There are supposedly real pictures of Antarctica taken with NASA's Lima satellite. But of course, the question remains, are we seeing what's really there? These satellite images are often stunning, and they give us a photorealistic picture of our planet. But like a video game with convincing graphics, satellite images are still only a representation of what's really there. But also, like all maps, the images simply aren't the actual territory. Considering that on Google Earth, you can see one of the most super secret bases, Area 51, you really have to ask yourself what's really in Antarctica, because that even in 2020, we still supposedly don't have sophisticated enough technology for the general public to see it, especially when we see large portions of what look like painted over or blurred out areas of the continent. Antarctica can be divided into 3 major areas: West Antarctica, East Antarctica, and the Antarctic Peninsula. East Antarctica was once connected by land with South America and the Andes mountain range. The first mysteries began to appear during the first modern explorations of this continent. We may think that Antarctica is a huge, icy, isolated area that supports almost no kind of life. First research has shown that this is simply not true. In 1893, Captain Carl Anton Larsen discovered fossilized remains of trees and various types of worms on Seymour Island in northern Antarctica. But he also discovered something more interesting. Geographical Journal from October 1894 published an article entitled "The Voyage of the Jason to the Antarctic Regions," which quotes Larsen states how, "At other places we saw balls of sand and cement resting upon pillars composed of the same constituents. We collected some 50 of them, and they had the appearance of having been made by man's hand." Of course, later research rejected such claims, and it was found that it is a natural phenomenon apparently. But is it really? In 1928, Admiral Richard E. Byrd embarked on the first of his 5 expeditions to this mysterious continent, and immediately upon arrival was stunned with evidence that Antarctica was once full of life. The expedition was funded by Edsel Ford and John D. Rockefeller Jr., which was about $400,000 US. In 1930, an article was published about their expedition where it was written, "This expedition was expected to find solid evidence of the existence of life on this cool continent, and traces of vegetation have been found that show that Antarctica used to have a much milder climate. Further expeditions are expected to enter deeper inland in search of traces of life." And of course, evidence was found. Antarctica has indeed been a life-supporting continent in its past, but is there any life today? In 1947, the U.S. military claimed to have found a place it called Bunger Oasis, a place that was not chained to ice. Later, Russia built its base in the same place in 1956. Interestingly, the Germans first discovered this place in 1939, but kept this information secret. The Russians started moving so much equipment and supplies into the oasis that Australian and New Zealand diplomats were convinced they may be setting out permanent air and submarine bases there. August 26, 1946. A short time after the end of World War II, the U.S. military launched the operation called High Jump. The objective of these missions was to test the performance of the U.S. military in sub-zero temperature conditions and to establish the Antarctic research base Little America 4. The Operation High Jump was the United States' second expedition to Antarctica and its first attempt to establish a research base on Antarctica. But what makes this operation particularly interesting were the events, circumstances, and accusations following the entire mission. As soon as the operation started, the Soviets immediately responded with claims that the U.S. was searching for a possible Nazi base and also looking to confirm UFO activity in the area. The Soviets' warning was the first red flag that the government might not have been completely honest with the public. The second red flag was the number of mysterious deaths that occurred during the operation. 3 crewmen died in a plane crash that was blamed on a blizzard that was never confirmed, and their bodies were never found. another crewman went missing, and a fellow crewman claimed that he had been crushed by rolling equipment and the body could not be recovered. Operation High Jump was the biggest spike in UFO sightings and alien hysteria in history, as some have claimed that Admiral Byrd met a superior force that even possessed UFO aircraft that forced Byrd to retreat. This claim is largely substantiated by a quote which attributed Admiral Byrd saying, "In case of a new war, the continental U.S. would be attacked by flying objects which could fly pole to pole at incredible speeds." However, the words of Byrd in the El Mercurio article of March 5, 1947, written by Lee Van Atta, have been mistranslated in a way that suggests that he was talking about the dangers of flying saucers. The correct translation from Spanish states, "Admiral Richard E. Byrd warned today that the United States should adopt measures of protection against the possibility of an invasion of the country by hostile planes coming from the polar regions." The Admiral explained that he was not trying to scare anyone, but the cruel reality is that in case of a new war, the United States could be attacked by planes flying over one or both poles. In that period, the Soviets once again voiced their opinion, claiming they had evidence that the Americans had been attacked by soldiers from the alleged Nazi base. That sounds like a real conspiracy theory, and the lack of evidence provided by the soldiers doesn't help the case. And what makes the operation even more unsettling is that the mission was canceled in a panic just a short 6 months into the expedition. The official reason to cancel the mission was bad weather conditions. Some rumors were going around that the crew had seen something they weren't supposed to. Do we know what actually might have caused that, and what happened to the missing crewmen? Where is the crashed plane? In 2004, a group set out to find the remains of the victims, but they couldn't find anything, not even the crashed plane. Proven again, Antarctica is also great at keeping its secrets. Don't miss the next episode and find out more about Antarctica's mysteries, secrets, and legends. Thank you for watching, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. We really hope you subscribe, and if you'd like to be notified of future releases, just hit the bell button. Leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on all of this and what topics you'd like to explore in our future videos.